Make sure you check out my last episode after you watch this episode. I'm going to start off by taking 6 of these little glass bottles and removing the corks out of each of those, and I'm going to save the little corks in case I want to reuse them for these bottles. Next, taking this little wooden pallet from Dollar Tree, this is the larger size, I'm going to glue the back of the glass bottle and just place that in the center. I'm going to put 2 bottles on this one. Now you can either place the bottles higher or lower, but I wanted these to be even. So this is what it looks like after I have them glued on. And I'm actually going to be making 3 of these with 2 glass bottles per little wooden pallet. And here's what it will look like once you have all 3 completed. Now you can make more or less of these depending on how many you want, but I just wanted 3. Next, I'm going to take these spring flowers. I have a purple, a white, a yellow, and a pink. Now I was going to use the pink, yellow, and purple, but I decided to go ahead and use the yellow, pink, and white. So you only need 1 piece off of each of the colors. I'm just going to place it in the bottle and then cut it the desired length that I want. Now for the second one, I'm going to have to remove some of the little foam beads on there. That way I have the little green stem for inside the bottle. But once I have those removed, I'm just going to trim the top to make them even. And this is what the first one looks like in yellow. And I'm going to repeat the same process for the pink and for the white. Next, I'm going to take this jute twine that I got at Dollar Tree and cut 6 pieces, and I'm just going to tie that around the top of the bottle, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. That way I just have a little bit off, kind of resembling a bow. And this is what it will look like, and I'm going to repeat that on all 6 bottles. And this is what it looks like once all 6 bottles have the twine. I'm going to start off by taking this baking sheet that I got from Dollar Tree and using some sharp scissors, I'm just going to cut the edges off as you can see me doing here. Now be careful when you do this because it can get rather sharp once you get the edges cut. Once I have this section cut out, I'm actually going to be cutting it into a square. Now I'm going to cut the top portion off and the side portions off as you can see here to form a square. Now you can make this whatever size you would want. I didn't really measure it up. I just cut out a square shape. Now I'm going to take it and fold it in half like you can see here and make sure I make a crease line down the center. Then I'm going to unfold it and fold it in half the opposite direction, again folding it in the center and making sure you can see the fold line. Once I have that done, then I'm going to take one of the corners and fold it up to that first fold line and do the same on the second. Basically just folding it into an envelope shape as you can see I'm doing here, and then just smoothing it out. Then taking the Granite Gray, Jet Black, and Pewter Gray, I'm going to first dab on a layer of the black paint using a makeup sponge, and I'm just going to dab it all over. And then once I have the black paint on, then we're going to move on to using the lighter gray color. Same method, I'm going to take it and just start dabbing it all over the envelope, and these paint combinations are going to give this envelope the more galvanized look. Once I have the lighter gray on, I'm going to take the pewter gray and I'm just going to go over the top of the other 2 colors, and then this is where you can see it's going to start forming the more old rustic galvanized look. Now you can paint this either any way you like, or you can just leave it the silver color. That's completely up to you. But this is what it will look like once the paint's all dry. And then taking the burnt umber, I'm just going to go around all the edges, and this will give it a rust effect. And once I have that all over the edges, I'm just going to dab a little bit on here and there on the rest of the envelope to give it a more used look. And this is what it'll look like once the paint is fully dry. Now using my hot glue, I'm just going to glue the pieces together, as you can see here. And just be careful when you do this, because of it being tin, it does get hot whenever you use the hot glue. You can also use super glue or an E6000 glue if you'd like. But I'm just going to take this greenery that I got at Walmart and just place that inside the envelope. But you can use any type of floral that you would like to fill this in, and you can change it through the season. And here's your completed project, costing only $1. Start off by taking this foam board that I got from Dollar Tree and this wall sticker decal that I also got from Dollar Tree. Taking the sticker, I'm just going to place that on the foam board, and then using my X-Acto knife, I'm just going to cut around the wall decal to where once you have all the foam board cut, you'll be left with just the silhouette of the decal, as you can see here. Next, I'm going to take these clock pieces that I have from an old clock I no longer use, and taking the apple barrel paint in the color camo pink, I'm just going to paint the hands of the clock and let those dry. While those are drying, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and cut right in the center of my decal, or in this case, I'm going to cut the little nose out of the puppy. Once I have that cut out, that'll leave a space for us to put the clock back together. So taking the clock, I'm just going to insert that into the decal and then start assembling the clock hands back on. And here's what your completed little boho puppy clock will look like. I'm going to start off by taking 2 of these 8x10 frames from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the backing as well as the glass in both of those. Once I have that done, I'm going to work on one of the glasses, and taking this tool that I got at Dollar Tree, I'm going to cut 2 pieces out. Now you can leave this in the full sheets if you like, but I'm actually just going to be cutting out the feathers, and you can cut out as many as you would like, but I'm just going to be cutting out several for this project. And once they're cut out, this is what they'll look like. And then taking my Mod Podge, I'm going to apply Mod Podge all over the feathers and start placing them on the glass. And again, you can place as many or as little as you would like on the glass. But once I have that done, this is what it will look like when they're dry. Next, taking the scrapbooking paper that I got at Walmart, I'm just going to cut that out the size of the 8x10 glass. Next, taking some hot glue, I'm just going to apply glue all over the bottom of one of the frames, but I do suggest an E6000 glue for a more permanent hold. I'm going to place one of the backings down and then apply more hot glue on top, and then apply the blank piece of glass on top of that. Once I have that all glued in, I'm going to apply the scrapbooking paper and then the piece of glass with the feathers and glue that down. Again, I do recommend an E6000 glue if you're wanting a permanent and more secure hold for this. But once I have all the glue in place, this is what the bottom of the tray will look like. And for the top of the tray, which is one of the picture frames, I'm just going to use these little handles and glue that to the side. And I'm not sure where I got these handles from. I've had them for a little while, but I'm just going to place those on there. And then taking, again, glue, I'm going to glue the 2 frames together to make it a little bit deeper for the tray, as you can see I've done here. Now taking the leftover of that scrapbooking paper, I'm just going to cut 4 pieces, and that's what we're going to be using on the inside edges of the tray. Once I have all 4 pieces cut, I'm going to use my Mod Podge and I'm going to apply Mod Podge all over the back of each of the pieces. Once I have the Mod Podge all applied, then I'm just going to start placing it on the inside of the tray all the way around on all 4 sides. And this is what it will look like once you have all the paper in place. Now this is optional, but I'm going to take this glitter ribbon and I'm just using my hot glue. I'm just going to wrap that all the way around the top frame, and once I have that done, I'm going to repeat that on the bottom frame as well. And here's what your tray will look like once it's completed. start off by taking this floral wire that I got at Dollar Tree and this cactus printout, and I'm just going to bend the floral wire into the shape of the cactus. Once I have the shape, I'll cut off the excess. And then using my hot glue, I'm going to glue some LED lights around the tracing of the cactus. Now I was thinking that these lights were going to be green, but they ended up being purple, which isn't terribly bad. It still looks good. But I'm going to take this shelf liner and I'm going to cut it out in the shape of the cactus as well. And because I couldn't find the color I wanted, I'm going to take this lime sherbet apple barrel paint and just paint the entire thing this green color. Once I have that done, I'm going to carefully hot glue the cactus onto the shelf liner that I cut out, and I'm going to glue that all the way around the entire cactus. And this is what it will look like once I have that all glued down. Next, I'm going to take this tumbling tower block and I'm going to apply hot glue and then just glue the cactus onto that. And that's what we're going to be using for the stand. Next, taking some tumbling tower blocks, I'm going to build the base for the cactus lights. And this is what it'll look like once you glue that together. Taking some felt, I'm going to cut out a piece that I'm going to be using for the bottom. That way it doesn't scratch your surfaces. And I'm just going to glue that on and then cut any excess off. Next, taking the tumbling tower block that's glued onto the cactus, I'm going to glue that on the inside of the front of the box and just make sure that the lights will fit in. And taking 2 more tumbling tower blocks, I'm going to glue that on either side of the cactus just to help hold it in place. And then taking some more of that brown felt, which will be the dirt for the cactus, I'm going to cut that and glue that on top and around the cactus. Once I have all the felt glued in place, then you can just tuck the excess lights underneath the felt and slide in the battery pack, and using a little flour, I'm going to glue that to the top, and then this is what your completed little desk cactus light will look like. Taking this hand towel, which I got at the Dollar Tree, and this is what we're going to be using for the projects for today. I'm going to start off by cutting out one of these smaller chickens, and then as you'll see, I'll be using a couple more of the smaller chickens. Once I have the chicken cut out, I'm going to take this set of plastic spoons, which I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take the larger of the spoons, and I will start by using hot glue on the back of the chicken and applying that to the top of the spoon. I did try Mod Podge at first, but with the thickness of the towel, it caused it to move around a lot. So I did find that hot glue actually works the best. Once I had it glued down, then I'm going to apply Mod Podge to the top to seal it. What I'm going to do next is on the bottom of the towel, I'm going to cut out a section of the trim, and that's what I'm going to use to wrap around the handle of each of the spoons. Taking a large enough piece to wrap around the handle, I'm going to apply this with hot glue as well. I'll apply a little bit of hot glue in the front to hold it in place, and then wrap the sides and apply hot glue to hold that in place. And like I said, hot glue is what I found to actually work the best for these, as they're just going to be used for decorational purposes, not for actual use. Once I have the first spoon cut out, I'm going to repeat and cut 3 more of the chickens and roosters, the smaller size, out, and I'll repeat the steps on each of the remainder 3 spoons. And as well, like I said previous, once I have all the spoons completed, I'm going to apply Mod Podge to the top of each of the chickens just to make sure that they seal and stay in place. take the mason jar and wrap the cotton twine around the bottom using hot glue to glue it in place. And with the cotton twine, I'm going to wrap that about halfway up on the mason jar. Once I have the twine wrapped about halfway up, I'm going to take some regular jute twine and I'm going to apply the jute twine from where the cotton twine ended all the way to the top of the mason jar. This is what the first mason jar will look like once it's completed. And then next I'm going to take another one of the chickens that I cut out from the towel, including the stamp on this one. And what I will do is just go ahead and hot glue it onto the mason jar. Now I didn't notice until I was actually doing the voiceover for this video, but on one side of the towel the words are spelt going forward, and on the other side they're actually in reverse, so they're backwards. And so whenever you do this, just make sure you cut out the correct side. Taking 3 elastic hangers, I'm going to cut the bottom section off. As you can see here, I'm just going to use some dog nail clippers. They seem to work really good for this project. And when you cut the pieces, they are going to be cut at a little bit of a slant. One of the sides will need to be a little bit shorter than the other, as you can see here. Now taking the shorter sides, I'm going to glue these hangers together, 2 side by side and 1 in the middle. I'm going to mark off where the stand will fit, add hot glue, glue them down. I will take 3 of the tumbling tower blocks, stain them, and glue them to the bottom of the hangers. After the top of the table is stained, this is what the mini riser will look like.